Welcome everyone, welcome. Welcome to our Youth Opportunities Expo. We will get started. My name is Christina Williams. Hello everyone, good afternoon, good evening, whatever your preference. So we have some more people coming in. So again, my name is Christina Williams. I'm the coordinator of YouthWINS, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you and to be hosting this special event with our sister coalition, TYSA. Before we begin, I just wanted to give a little bit of information about myself and YouthWINS. But before we start, just wanted to give you guys a heads up about group norms as people come in. So this session will be recorded and also posted on our YouTube page, on the TYSA YouTube page. So we do encourage people to keep their video on. Just so that we can see you guys, hear your faces, and we're able to better interact. But because this session will be recorded, please feel free to use your discretion and to turn your camera off if you need to. Also, because this will be published on YouTube, feel free to also use your preferred name or to change your name if you kind of want to keep that level of privacy. Be respectful and speak from your personal experiences and perceptions. And hopefully you'll be able to maintain yourself on mute during the panelist portion, but you can come off of mute once it's time to move on to the Q&A. And if the norms can't be followed, unfortunately, we will have to remove you, but hopefully, I think this is a good group, so hopefully there won't be any challenges. Okay. So YouthWINS. Again, I'm the coordinator of YouthWINS. YouthWINS is a coalition for workforce development here on Staten Island. We specifically work with youth in the ages of 16 and 24. Between the ages of 16 and 24, helping them to find employment opportunities and educational opportunities. So with that being said, I will hand it over to my good friend, Shanice.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shanice, and I am a TYSA youth consultant. And I was connected with TYSA through my school, College of Staten Island. I'm a senior there, so that's great. So our objective today is to hold this panel so that youth can inform themselves on the educational and career opportunities available to them, because a lot of them don't know what's out there and the resources they have. So we're here to ask questions, to be better prepared, and to be more successful. And since June is also Pride Month, we invited experts who can speak about some of the unique concerns of LGBTQ plus people and what they may face in the workplace. And what is TYSA? So TYSA is a coalition of over 50 organizations on Staten Island that work together collectively to improve youth mental health and substance use. So with that being said, we've gathered experts, yes, okay. We've gathered experts here today to shed some resources and have a conversation. So first person is Bianca Cardesi, the director of Digital Services, Valpac of Staten Island and Greater Brooklyn. Next, we have Daniel Martinez, Project Coordinator, Kinetic Communities Consulting. Then we have Monet Rankins, Community Partner Manager, Staten Island Workforce One Career Center. Then we have Pavel Valera, YABC Program Director, New York Center of Interpersonal Development. Next is Ashley Mogul, Outreach and Admissions, New York Job Corps. We have Kevin Borneo, LEAP Program Coordinator, and Forney at the Forney Center. Then we have Theresa Doyle, or Tessie, as her preferred name, from the Career and Workforce Developer, New York Center of Interpersonal Development. So I'm going to give our panelists about 5 to 10 minutes to share a bit about the work that they do. Once all our panelists have shared, they'll hand it to our audience to share any questions they might have, or any topics that they would like to speak about. If people have questions along the way, please enter them into the chat so we can keep track of them and also bring them up as they come in. And we will also be conducting some interactive polls throughout the webinar as well. So please, participation is encouraged, and it'll help us improve upon these programs in the future. So first, I want to invite Bianca Cardesi. Bianca helps business owners establish a digital and brand and overall online presence. She superheads a internship program that attracts local college students interested in the marketing industry. And she attended CUNY Macaulay Honors College in 2013 with a degree in English and marketing and a master's degree from the College of Staten Island in English literature. She also worked in a CSI's Office of Student Life, interacting closely with students, with student leadership, organizations, and the LGBTQ Resource Center. Bianca has interned in public relations and marketing with organizations including bluefly.com and the World of Children Award. So I would like to invite her up now.
Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. So I guess that's kind of my formal background slash bio. Yeah, basically I'm the Director of Digital Services at Valpak for Staten Island and Greater Brooklyn. I work very closely with many small to medium-sized business owners, really identifying their uniqueness, helping them kind of identify their brand, and bringing that to light in a digital format, whether that be social media content, ad creation, website development, kind of the whole gamut of digital services. We are typically a direct mail marketing, which is a very traditional form of advertisement. So the branch into digital kind of came with my hire. So I was a part of those very early stages of kind of transitioning those clients into a digital format. Learned a lot in the process. And part of learning in that process was learning that having an eye and kind of a source into the younger consumer was super important. So I quickly realized that, not only could I use assistance from interns, local interns, but I really need their insight as to, what are people doing on social media? What are the new outlets? How can we kind of, integrate what we're doing into different markets through these outlets. So I helped create the internship program that still exists there and we still use, and that exists across, local college students from CSI, from St. John's, Wagner, really giving students an opportunity to kind of taste test the marketing field, something that I think was very important in my own time as a student was really, not having that real world experience that you kind of crave as a student, kind of going into the workforce. So that's something I wanted to make sure I was able to kind of to bring to the community, and making sure that students have the ability to, get not just kind of something they can put on their resume, but real world experience to decide, is this something I want to pursue? How can I see this kind of working for me? In terms of my own personal background, I was, kind of had a change of heart. I was an English literature major with applications into doctorate programs. So I thought I wanted to be a Chaucer literature professor, but I kind of fell into a couple of social media internships kind of at the time that social media was peaking as a real kind of viable career opportunity. So I fell into a couple of great opportunities that really opened my eyes to this entire world of, a digital specific marketing role. And I'm very glad that I did. It's led me to where I am today. It's opened me up to many opportunities, and I am very eager to kind of give students and those in, kind of taking their first steps forward into the career force, those kind of same tools and experiences that have helped me so much along my way.
Thank you so much, Bianca, for sharing. So before we invite our next panelists, we're going to start our first interactive question. So it'll take a moment to answer, but I will invite Christina back on.
So hi, everyone. So I'm going to put the link in the chat so that you're able to log on to Mentimeter. You shouldn't have to create an account, but if you can just click on the link, it'll bring you right to the presentation, so you're able to answer our first question. You can also text by using, oh, I'm sorry, I lied. I lie often. So when you go to mentimeter.com, you can just use the code 97002359 to access the questions. And as you all are doing that, I'll just read the first question out. The first question asks, what can employers do to make LGBTQ plus individuals feel safer and feel more secure in coming to work as their full selves in the workplace? And I see we have at least one answer so far, so we're doing great. So we'll just give maybe a minute for more people to come in and answer and give their answers. Okay, so the answers are coming in. So we have allow people to use their preferred names and or pronouns instead of forcing them to use their birth names, encourage individuality, have BIPOC, LGBTQ plus people in leadership positions, creating and accepting an inclusive environment, encouraging employees to use preferred pronouns and respecting that use, ask for everyone's pronouns and not single anyone out. They can make a specific part of the building to them and have security. Okay, so wonderful answers, you guys. We're taking notes, So with that being said, I'll hand it back to Shanice.
All right, awesome. So thank you, Christina. So next, I'd like to invite Daniel Martinez to speak. Daniel is the project coordinator at Kinetics Communities Consulting. And yeah, Daniel?
Am I good on the audio? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Daniel Martinez. I'm project coordinator on the Kinetic Communities team. We do a lot of just work with local government and state to kind of promote green energy all over. The main reason why I got into this field of work is because I come from a low-income household, and to anybody that does, you kind of know we're very like misrepresented or not represented at all in the energy sector. We don't really get the lavish lifestyle of having green energy. We don't really get too much of that. Sometimes, I've gone winters without heat. I've gone like 40 below without heat, things of that nature, which is why I kind of fell in love with the work I do. I want to represent the people that don't have the voice to represent themselves, or that people don't pay attention to represent themselves. So I'm going to be talking about mainly an initiative I'm on. It's kind of my main point of focus right now, called Electrify Side. And you can go to the next slide. So before I jump into Electrify Side itself, I just kind of want to speak on the importance of green jobs. So there are green jobs all over. would help lower greenhouse gas emissions caused by buildings and large corporations in the city. They'll also help the efficiency of energy itself, of energy from raw materials and energy from water. This all of this together is going to lead to reducing waste and pollution that we create. And kind of to speak on the career map of green jobs, it's a very big web of jobs. You can go from having a consultant role with the government or nonprofits, things of that nature, to kind of being more hands-on, being a contractor, installing these products in people's homes. Or you can even take a deeper dive and get a degree in engineering and start designing and making these actual green energy products that'll be getting put into people's homes. Next slide. So I'll give a quick overview of the initiative I'm on. It's called Electrify SI. There is kind of two halves to the project. On one side, we have the homeowners. So when it comes to homeowners, we want to educate them as much as possible, as well as in a way empower them by giving them the opportunity to install these green energy products into their homes. And then on the other half, we have contractors. So we're partnering. My main role on the project is contractor coordinator. So I'll be mainly assisting small contractor businesses with getting the proper certifications and trainings they might need to be able to install these products. Also, it'll just overall help them grow as a business, help them be more stable, especially through the hard times that we've all fallen, especially these small businesses have really been hit hard. So I just making the change, making the push, having like someone that'll hold their hands through all of this is definitely a big plus for them and can lead to a very prosperous future. Next slide, yeah. So a little bit on a couple examples on what these green energy or energy efficiency retrofits or these green energy products really look like. So enveloping is one. Enveloping is just kind of an energy sector word for wall insulation. Making sure the walls have proper insulation can lead to a lot of energy not being wasted. Upgrading people's lighting to LEDs is a big thing that can make a real good change. Installing Energy Star rated appliances, as well as converting people from oil or gas to electric makes a change. Even installing solar panels is also a very big thing right now. So all these little examples I just gave, they all fit into making the into helping the common goal of reducing people's fuel consumption, of reducing people's carbon footprints as well, and even helping homeowners in lowering their bills. Next slide. So I'm here today on behalf of my company. We're looking for energy equity interns. So we want an intern to join, and they'll mainly the company works on a lot of different projects, but the project that the intern will most likely be working on is Electrify SI, and they'll be trained internally by us, either given information from the people on my team or on our team directly, or anybody we bring in from the outside to train them. We most likely see them working about 15 to 20 hours a week. The common day by day you'll kind of go through is going to look like just a lot of emails and phone calls to follow up with homeowners, a lot of engaging contractors, seeing where they're at with installing the products, which is another email and phone calls. Also just using Excel and Word pretty often to just keep track of your engagement with homeowners or contractors, either or. And yeah. So what we look for in an intern is good communication skills alongside good organizational skills, experience with Gmail and Microsoft Office, because you'll most likely use those a lot. Also, just a common or just like a common interest in having in climate change solutions or building infrastructure, or just a good interest in community engagement and being a part of your community and helping your community. And yeah, you can go to the next one. So I'll just leave this up to open up the floor for anybody that has any questions, wants to know a little bit more. Feel free to drop them in the chat or unmute.
All right, so if you guys do have questions, feel free to put it in the chat or direct message Daniel as well, privately if you want. And there's his contact info on the screen, so you also can contact him separately. But thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing.
No problem.
So before I invite our next panelist, we're gonna do another interactive question. So I'm gonna invite Christina back on to explain that one.
All right, hello again, everyone. So we're back to the Mentimeter. So if you can go back to menti.com, hopefully with the code that you entered, you're just straight on there. So the next question asks, have you ever felt that a job opportunity was denied to you based on your gender identity or sexual orientation? So I see more than a couple of you have begun to answer. So we'll just give it another minute just so everyone can plug in their answers. It is super exciting to see like the numbers go up and down. I don't know, I'm way too much into data, but we shall see what the final results are. Okay, well, it looks like there are no further changes in the results. So 3 out of 9 are saying yes. Well, actually, I lied. 4, it increased to 4. And that is a little bit unfortunate, or well, not a little bit, a lot unfortunate that 4 out of 10 of us are feeling that opportunities have been denied to us based on our gender identity or sexual orientation. And 6 out of the 10 are saying no. So hopefully, as time progresses, we can kind of expand on this conversation in terms of like job opportunity and gender identity and sexual orientation. But this is just the start towards opening a deeper conversation. So with that being said, I will pass it back to Shanice.
Hi everybody, I'm back. So thank you, Christina. Next, I want to invite Monet Rankins. As a community partner manager, Monet works with community-based organizations to help connect job seekers of diverse backgrounds with the job placement and professional training and development services available through Workforce One centers. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Monet.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining today. I'm very glad to be here. So as was mentioned, my name is Monet, like the artist. That's typically the easiest way for people to remember. And I've been at the Staten Island Workforce One Career Center for about 5 years now. So I've done a few different roles here at the Workforce One Center, but today I'm going to be speaking in general about some of our training and employment opportunities. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in terms of who we are, Workforce One is a free service provided by the New York City Department of Small Business Services. We prepare and connect qualified candidates to job opportunities and trainings all throughout New York City. As mentioned, we are a subsidiary of the Department of Small Business Services, SBS, which is our direct funder. And on the screen ahead of us are some links on how to register to become a member of Workforce One, and also the link to our website. I'm going to include my contact information and those links in the chat as well once we're finished with this presentation, and as people are going to be able to ask some questions. Next slide, please. Thank you. So Workforce One has centers available in all 5 boroughs. We have a total of 18 different Workforce One career centers. Presently, due to everything that's going on, we are operating completely virtually at this time. The Staten Island Career Center should be reopening by the end of this year. We'll definitely make sure to share that information once we have an official reopen date. We are in St. George, about a block away from the ferry terminal. If you're familiar with the Dunkin' Donuts right there on the way to the ferry, we're across the street. So there are 6 main hub centers, including our Staten Island location. We also have expansion centers, sector centers, and specialized centers. Our sector centers focus on specific job opportunities in certain sectors. We have a healthcare career center, which is physically located in Lower Manhattan, which has jobs available in the healthcare field, and there's also trainings available that are processed through the healthcare center. I'll speak about the ITGs in a moment. We also have industrial and transportation career centers. So if someone has a background in driving as a delivery driver or wants to break into that field, the ITC, Industrial and Transportation Career Centers, would be the best fit for you. One of our specialized centers is located in Washington Heights, and that is our Foreign-Born New Yorker Center, where they have workshops and programs available specifically for people who may be new to the American workplace. They're available in various languages, including Spanish and any other language that someone may feel more comfortable communicating in. And there's just a difference, even for someone who may be from another English-speaking country, but maybe the country that you've been employed in before, or that your family is from, is used to having a CV that has your photo or certain demographic information that we just do not include here in America because it's considered discriminatory. So we just help to kind of bridge that gap and prepare everyone for the American workplace, along with letting you know what your rights are as an employee here in America. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in terms of career services, we do career development where we will sit down with you one-on-one. You can speak to one of our career advisors who will come up with a customized plan for your employment success. So this involves taking a look at any previous education or work history that you have, your short-term and long-term goals. So if you've been working in hospitality and you want to get into the healthcare field, for example, we'll sit with you and help you create a roadmap to how to get into that field. We do also offer workshops for interview prep. We've transitioned those interview workshops to include phone and video interviews. There's a level of comfort that some people are still working with, and we understand that. We want to make sure that you are able to present yourself in the best way as possible when speaking to employers. We have resume development workshops for someone who either does not have a resume or has one and just needs to update some of the information or perhaps revamp it a little bit. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in terms of additional services, we do offer the language line, which is a tool used to help those who have limited English skills. We have outbound referrals. So there are some community partners that we have that are here on this call today. If you are scheduled for an interview, but perhaps you need transportation fare, or you need an interview outfit to wear for the interview, perhaps you need a pair of shoes, we can assist you in obtaining those things. And we do have special accommodations for any individuals who feel comfortable disclosing a disability that they may have. Next slide, please. Thank you. So in terms of the job opportunities that we have available right now today, I'm going to speak about one that's not listed. It actually just became available today. And this is a restaurant called Clinton Hill. Clinton Hill is opening up at the Empire Outlet, so it's fairly accessible right at the Staten Island Ferry Terminal. And they are looking for people to work as line cooks, bussers, dishwashers, and wait staff. This position is going to pay $15 per hour. They are looking for people who have open availability. Typically weekends and evenings are busiest for restaurants. And for the front of house positions, bussers and wait staff, waiters and waitresses, those positions earn tips as well. So you can go leave every night with cash in your pocket in addition to the check that you'll earn. Some other food service opportunities that we have right now are with Five Guys. They're hiring people to work as cashiers, so the person that takes the order. This is also a full-time job earning $15 an hour. And Chipotle is actually offering $17 per hour as an incentive to try to bring in more people who are interested in working in food service. And they have open availabilities available. You can work a part-time schedule or full-time depending on when you need to work or what other things are going on. It's Our Pleasure Hospitality owns several banquet halls on Staten Island. As the world very slowly begins to open back up, people are hosting weddings, baby showers, retirements, graduation parties, etc. They're looking for everyone to work at the banquet hall. Dishwashers, line cooks, hosts and hostesses, someone to do coat check, bartenders, wait staff. This position is another one that offers $15 an hour plus gratuity. Your guaranteed gratuity, the person having the party has to pay 20% gratuity, so you're automatically getting that in addition to any tips that you may earn during your shift. We're also working with Easy Pass. Easy Pass is looking for call center representatives. This is a full-time job, 40 hours a week, and it starts you off at $16.50 an hour. There is an opportunity to earn more once you've passed the probationary period. Your pay goes up to $18 per hour. Allied Universal is looking for security guards. This is a full-time role that starts at $15.88. There is a union. You'll get union health insurance, union benefits, and the ability to grow. And then we have some retail sales positions as well. So this is more if you're someone who really likes the hustle and flow of speaking to customers every day. Bath and Body Works is looking for cashiers and sales associates. Sales associates are on the floor and you are selling. You're upselling people, complimenting them on the scents that they picked out, trying to get them to buy a bundle. Oh, I see you have the hand sanitizer, but the lotion smells really good as well. Similarly, JCPenney is looking for sales associates for their jewelry department. They also need people to work in a Sephora department. So this is a really good opportunity for someone who's creative and artistic, someone who expresses themselves through makeup. The Sephora opportunity would be a good fit for you. For the jewelry department role, it's $15 an hour, plus you receive commission on any jewelry that you're able to sell. So again, for those of you that have I can't do sales, I'm not a salesperson, but I know that there are people who excel in that role, and this is definitely the opportunity for you. CVS is hiring sales associates, which is what they call their regular retail associates. And they're also looking for someone to work as a pharmacy technician. You do not have to have your pharmacy tech certification. CVS will train you and give you that certification as part of your onboarding process. So if you're someone who sees how much potential is available working in a pharmacy tech department, that's available. There's also the sales associate position, and you can work either full-time or part-time with CVS depending on your availability. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I mentioned that we do career development. We have a couple of different trainings available, and presently we are recruiting for our construction pre-apprenticeship training. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the lines that wrap around the block when people camp out for the application to join the union. That's not even to join, that's just to apply to join the union. The construction skills pre-apprenticeship training is a 6-week program that will prepare everyone to work on a construction site. It'll help you narrow down what role within construction you're most interested in, such as carpentry, plumbing, masonry, etc. You can get into the electrical field as well. And this is a completely free training. Previously, the training was held in Far Rockaway, Queens, and class started at 7 a.m. and you had to be there on time. You were only allowed 3 absences per training, and being late twice counts as an absence. I recognize that Staten Island is extremely difficult to navigate, and timing the trains and the ferry and everything else, that was a huge barrier to people taking part in this training. Presently, again, because of the Pantene Pro V, everything is being held virtually, including this, and there is an opportunity for you to do this online. You're then guaranteed entry into the construction trade of your choice. Next slide, please. So this is my contact information, and I realized that I didn't include in this slideshow. We kind of revamped our slides recently. I didn't include information about our ITGs programs. So our ITGs are our individual training grants. There's a lot of acronyms in Workforce One. These training grants will help you to pursue a career in specific fields that you may be interested in. So I mentioned a lot about healthcare, for example. If you are someone who's either worked as a home health aide or perhaps you've taken care of a sick family member, you can become a CNA or medical assistant. Go and get the training, and the cost will be covered by Workforce One. There's also an opportunity. I mentioned a security job. If you do not have your security guard license, Workforce One will pay for you to get your New York State license, your 8-hour and 16-hour certificates, and then prepare you for the interview so that you can start with the union security job. Allied Universal is nationwide. So if there's ever a time where you need to relocate or you want to move out of New York, you can take that job with you and earn the pay that you were earning here in New York. We also have, I don't drive, but if you have your regular New York State driver's license and you're interested in obtaining your CDL to work as a city bus driver, school bus driver, to drive U-Haul trucks, the long 18-wheeler trucks, we will pay for the training for you to obtain that. So those are all definitely things that I would encourage everyone to take advantage of. The cost can be very prohibitive. All of our employers, we only are able to work with, again, we're funded by the City of New York. Employers must be equal opportunity employers in order for us to participate. And we have direct, intimate knowledge of what the interview process is like, what questions they're going to ask you. You'll know the hiring manager's name before you get there, so you can practice pronouncing it and you won't kind of stumble over it when you get there. We're making sure that you can be as successful as possible, because when New Yorkers thrive, the entire city is able to survive. So I'm going to include my contact information in the chat in just a moment. I speak very quickly, so if there's something that you missed, by all means, feel free to ask me any questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Monet. Once again, if you guys have any questions for her, please put it in the chat or private message her. And also you can email her. Everything is on the screen right now, so feel free to take that down. All right. So before we invite our next panelist, we are going to move into our third interactive question on Mentimeter. Christina?
All right, everyone, and we're back. So if you go back to Mentimeter, this next question asks, how has economic insecurity affected your mental health? So please feel free to enter your answers, and we'll take about a minute so that people have time. Okay, so it seems like anxiety has been the biggest effect of economic insecurity, but also not able to socialize, working multiple jobs, increased anxiety, frustration, food insecurity, feeling inadequate, hopelessness. Someone even says that economic insecurity pushes you to grow up, stress about bills, trouble sleeping. As a resource or a tool, someone also said more prayer, unsure, insomnia, So these are some of the effects that we're feeling as a result of economic insecurity. So again, hopefully in future iterations, we can kind of unpack some of these feelings, but it's good to at least have that starter conversation. All right, so I will turn it back to Shanice.
All right, awesome. So next I want to invite, and excuse me if I butcher your name, I'm so sorry, Pavel, or Mr. Valera. His pronouns are he, him, and he is the program director of Young Adult Borough Center, or YABC, assisting students considered overaged or undercredited to complete their high school requirements and earn a NYC high school diploma. So I'd like to invite Mr. Valera on.
Hi, how are you? How's everybody doing? Thank you for having me. So I'm Mr. Pavel. Usually people people usually call me Mr. P because it's hard. I'm glad to be on this panel. I work with most of you on the panel, so I'm very happy to be here. So YABC. So I'm the program director of Staten Island YABC. YABC is a program that is for overage, undercredited students to help them get their high school diploma. The very unique portion of our program is that we also have what we call a LTW component, a learn to work component built into it. So as you're trying to finish up your high school requirements, whatever regions you have left, whatever classes you have left, we are also there to help you do employment stuff. So what do I mean by employment stuff? We are gracious enough to have funding from the city to help you work with different agencies and different companies on Staten Island to have you get a actual work experience and able to pay you for it. We do hard and soft skills employment trainings that we pay you for. We partner with different companies like a security guard company, OSHA 30 and OSHA 30 plus a 10, so OSHA 40 now, company that helps you get that. And we have another one of my staff members is on this call right now, and we'll be talking more in depth about what she does, help you with resume building, and pretty much anything and everything under the sun when it comes to employment. Let me just a quick background on myself. I'm a Brooklyn-born person. I've been here, I've been in Brooklyn forever. I migrated over to Staten Island about 4 years ago, and I love what I do. If it wasn't for finding this job, well, not a job now, my career about 9-10 years ago, I don't know what I'll be doing. If it wasn't for people in my life, not YABC or anything like that, but if it wasn't for people in my life doing pretty much what YABC does a very, very long time ago, because Mr. P's old, I probably would have graduated high school. So that's, very near and dear to my heart, the work that I do. And then being able to connect with people like Monet and Christina, and helping, our students, further their life and go into the next phase of their life is amazing to me. Just very short and sweet, we're here. We are the only program in Staten Island. We are expanding, so that's a new thing. We are trying to expand. Right now, we have a South Shore site in Townville High School, but we are trying to expand, and we are going to expand and have a North Shore satellite site in Concord High School. So that's something new in the developments for next semester. So if you know anybody, we are here. We're here to help. We're here to move you to the next phase in your life. And private message me. Uh, take yourself off mute if you have any questions, um, and I'll give you a few minutes.
I'm gonna give a few seconds for everybody to see if they want to ask questions or anything so far. All right, well, the chat is open if you do. We're gonna move on. So thank you so much, Mr. Valera. So before we invite our next panelist, you guessed it, we have another interactive question. I'm gonna invite Christina back on.
Okay, everybody. All right, so back to the Mentimeter. We have been doing an excellent job at answering these questions. So thank you, all of you, for answering them. So this next question asks, have you ever felt that a job opportunity was denied to you based on your racial background or ethnicity? So I see some of you have already started to answer. So I'll just give just one more minute so that we can get into more answers. Okay, so so far it seems like no seems to be the highest response. However, we do have at least one yes and one unsure. Again, this is another question that is very deep. We can have whole conversations around a lot of the questions that we're asking here today. So unfortunately, or hopefully, like I said before, we can have deeper conversations around these issues. But thank you again for answering these questions. And I will hand it over to Shanice.
All right, great. So thank you so much, Christina. Next, I want to invite Kevin Borneo, who goes by he, him, working in career services for over 5 years, starting at Brooklyn College's Magner Career Center, then Ali Forney's emergency housing program, a drop-in case manager, and then the LEAP program's job developer. He currently leads the LEAP program, is the LEAP program coordinator, managing career services for all AFC housing sites, and the drop-in, as well as coordinating all new program funded by DYCD and Unity Works. Welcome, Kevin.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much. All right, I really appreciate that. So I guess I just want to briefly say what the Forney Center does. We're the nation's largest organization that serves homeless LGBTQ youth. And specifically, as mentioned, I manage career services at AFC. So I wanted to talk about I guess give some information so that, the LGBTQ family, they know that what their rights are when they're going into the workforce for the first time. So I do want to share a couple of resources. I don't know if they're on the slides. I wanted to share some of the policy around, gender identity and harassment in New York City and what protections we have, and then also share, let's see, oh, there we go, right. Okay, so the first one I want to share is like the Human Rights Council's Corporate Equality Index. So this is a giant list of 767 different organizations. It includes a lot of the Fortune 500 companies, and it ranks them on a scale of how inclusive they are in terms of LGBTQ rights, in terms of having inclusive healthcare for their LGBTQ employees, that kind of thing. It will break every organization down on all of these different sections and let you know which ones are great places to work if you are, LGBTQ. So there is a list that you can download and get the full list of all these organizations, but there's also an employer search tool. So for instance, if you wanted to look up one organization in particular and see if they're on this list and how they're ranked, you can absolutely do that. So that's one resource I wanted to share. Another resource I wanted to share is New York City's laws on gender and identity discrimination. And these cover things like, employee rights, it covers tenant rights, and it also covers New Yorkers who are accessing any kind of public service. Hold on one sec. Let's see. So it goes over a couple of things which is actually very interesting. I think these questions are very interesting because they are kind of related to some of the things I wanted to talk about. The first one is failing to use someone's individual preferred name or pronoun. So that is something that is completely illegal and is classified as harassment in New York City. And the fine for these kind of violations can go up to like $250,000. So what I would recommend for my clients, one thing they often ask is, should I include, should I put my dead name in my resume or in my application? I would say no. You can always put your, your preferred name or your name on your resume, on your application. The only time where, on your resume and your cover letter, the only time when you might have to give like a legal name that's on legal documents is like to HR when you're filling out your application or during the onboarding process might be the only time you might need to use it. But other than that, you can always use your preferred name, your preferred pronoun, and in an interview while you're working, like your coworkers, your supervisors, everyone of course has to call you by your name. They have to use your pronouns. If they are failing to do that, then that is harassment, and that is something that does happen. I've definitely had clients who have started a job and they said that my supervisor dead names me on the schedule, like they put the wrong name on the schedule that all of my coworkers can see. They print my name wrong on the name tag. They can repeatedly refuse to use my pronouns. So it's something that unfortunately does happen, but that is completely illegal. It's totally harassment. And, the recourse for that would be to either check in with, human resources to file a complaint internally, or if you have to go externally, reach out to organizations like, Urban Justice or places where you can hopefully find some kind of like legal representation for that. Let's see. They're also like employers are also not allowed to refuse anyone to use like, single sex facilities, things like bathrooms. They can't force you to use a single occupancy bathroom. They can't force you to use a bathroom that isn't in accordance with, your gender identity. They're also not allowed to impose different standards of grooming or uniforms or dress between different gender identities. So what that means is if a job allows, women to wear long hair, they can't restrict men or other genders from wearing long hair. They can't do that. What they can do is maybe they can say if anyone has long hair, you have to tie it back in a ponytail. And as long as that is for everyone and it's not singling anyone out, then that's totally fine. So in your job interviews, when you're going to work, like, there might be a dress code, like, business casual or business formal, but of course you are allowed to wear like anything from that category, regardless of whether it's traditionally considered men's clothes or women's clothes, and they're not allowed to discriminate in the way you're expressing your gender in the workforce. Let's see, they're also not allowed to discriminate in terms of, different benefits. For example, they can't say that, opposite sexual partners, like the health insurance will cover heterosexual marriages or partnerships and refuse to cover same-sex partnerships. Those things aren't allowed. Let's see, they're not allowed to refuse accommodations based on like gender, sexual identity, those kind of things. They're not allowed to engage in any kind of like discriminatory behavior, whether that's cyberbullying, abusive language, whether that's, coercion of in any way, and they're also not allowed to engage in something called retaliation. So in other words, if you report some kind of discrimination to your employer, like internally, you report to HR, you report to some sort of external agency, or maybe there's an investigation happening and you give information, they're not allowed to retaliate against you in anything, like maybe giving you the worst shifts on the schedule or something like that is something that often happens, and that is illegal retaliation. Or if they were to fire you or to penalize you or do anything to discourage you from reporting that discrimination, that is completely illegal. So the final thing I guess I wanted to touch on is just like trans exclusions in healthcare in New York State and in New York City. Of course, trans care is trans exclusions are completely illegal. You're not allowed to deny your employees, you're not allowed to deny people gender affirming healthcare, gender affirming procedures. The only exception might be if, say you have you're applying for a company and you know that their main office is in another state. Like if their main office is not in New York State, but another state where maybe trans exclusions are legal for that state, then that can possibly be the only situation where you might be denied if they're not getting their insurance from New York City or New York State. So that might be something, I guess, just to look into when you're applying for new jobs in general. Let me see. Give me 1 second, just checking my notes. Okay. Okay. I think that covers a lot of the protections. Of course, hopefully we'll send out this document. So if you want to look through the Human Rights Council's corporate index and see for yourself what organizations are good to work for, if you want to read through New York City's laws on gender and identity discrimination, and like I said, this doesn't just cover for employees, this also covers tenants. So for example, if another tenant in your building, or maybe your landlord or someone, is using the incorrect pronouns, if they're like harassing you, reporting you just for existing as a queer person, then that is something that is also totally illegal. And of course, accessing public services, they also have to use your correct pronouns, and they're not allowed to discriminate against you. And I'd say the final thing is just for interviews, because I remember there was a question about how, being denied an interview based on your gender expression, or your race or things like that. And those things do unfortunately happen. It's absolutely illegal, but of course it's very difficult to prove it. And a lot of corporations or organizations in general now have standardized I guess, interview questions. So every interview is kind of the same, but some illegal questions that people may ask, they're not, just to let you know, they're not allowed to ask you what you made at your previous job. They're not allowed to ask you if you have children. They're not allowed to ask you if you are considering having children. They're not allowed to ask you, are you married? Are you partnered? They aren't allowed to ask you if you're transgender or cisgender, what your orientation is. Of course, they can just ask, what your pronouns are, but that is all that they can. Okay, so yeah, and if you have any questions, I guess, about New York State law or New York City law and the protections that you have going into the workforce as, as part of the LGBTQ family, just please let me know. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. So if you guys have any questions for Kevin as well, please, as all the other presenters before, feel free to message them privately in the Zoom chat or just put it in the chat. Now we will move on to our final presenter, Theresa Doyle. So Theresa is an educator both with the NYC Department of Education and with New York Center for Interpersonal Development, or NYCID, since 2005. Theresa also helps youth find their way through the alternative high school programs offered through NYCID. So without further ado, welcome Theresa.
Hello there. How's everyone doing tonight or this evening? I don't know. Do we decide if it's evening or night? So yes, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm really, really happy to be here. And my boss, Mr. Pavel Valera, really kind of summed up what the Young Adult Borough Center does and what we're in business to do, which is serve opportunity youth 17 and a half to 21 years old in getting their high school diploma and getting them paid internships and job readiness skills. I can never say that word, even though that's my job. And also credentialing in OSHA or security. But I guess what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today is also what NYSID, or New York Center for Interpersonal Development, does and strives to do in our Staten Island community and Brooklyn as well. Pavel, don't mean to leave out Brooklyn, but we're located near Workforce One, right down the block near the Dunkin' Donuts. That's our main headquarters. But we're kind of like, I think, the best kept secret on Staten Island. NYSID has been around for 50 years. And I haven't been with them that long, even though I'm starting to feel like I have. But I just wanted to share with you guys, and I know we have some YBC students on the call, which is awesome, what some of the things that NYSID does for our community, and some of the things, and I'll put my email address and NYSID's website in the chat. So, you know, we do so much, and you are invited to jump on wherever you think it might fit in your life. We have our Young Adult Borough Center. We have our transfer school for younger high school students. We have after school programs for elementary through middle school. We do the summer youth employment program. We have mediation and conflict resolution programs. We have programs for justice involved people, and we connect students with opportunities with our amazing partners. And Miss Monet is on the call, and she's awesome. And we work very closely together. And this, I'll kind of give you like inside baseball. A student, typically a YABC student, will come to me and say that they don't have a resume and they need some interview tips. And so we'll kind of talk through the process, and together we'll partner, and I'll create a resume. And I'm happy to help whoever's on this call. I'll put my email address in the chat, and you could just reach out if you're having difficulty crafting a resume. And then when that's complete, it goes over to Miss Monet at Workforce One, and she's able to assist our young people in getting connected with the recruiter for either an job opportunities that she shared today, or individual training grants, which are amazing opportunities, which I wish I knew about when I was thinking about college. Probably wasn't around back then, but it's just, you know, through my work with New York Center for Interpersonal Development, I've made so many great connections and partnerships that have, you know, positioned me and Mr. Pavel and my team members to connect students to opportunities that are out there that they don't even know that are available, that are free or next to nothing, and that they don't necessarily have to go through a 2-year program or a 4-year college program. Because let's face it, I mean, not everyone is cut out for that, including myself, because so some of you YBC students might enjoy this because my story is interesting. I'm actually a high school dropout from Port Richmond High School because I had other plans. I was going to be a writer, and I was going to be a singer. And I shortly learned in short order, you know, through a series of dead-end jobs, that I needed to go back and get my high school diploma, which I did, which took forever because there was no YABC around or a transfer school. And then I enrolled into college, and I wasn't successful in college. And then I tried again. Ultimately, I received my master's degree in education from St. John's University, which was free. So don't ever think you can't afford to go anywhere, because there's a lot of different ways, and you can always reach out to us at NYSID and we'll help you navigate that. So I tell my story to say this. I started out as a high school dropout. I ended up as a, a master's degree graduate with the highest honors and highest GPA. So, all that to say, my experiences in life really helped me to helps me to kind of serve our opportunity youth or our at-risk youth. It gives me a unique perspective on the challenges that they might be facing. And it kind of gives me that sense of redemption that I was allowed, because I was not a great student and I made a lot of the wrong choices. But through those choices, I've learned to be more sensitive and to be more available to our students, as evidenced by my phone that blows up at all hours of the day and night, which Pavel can attest to, I'm sure. But so yeah, that's me, and that's NYSID, and we've been around for 50 years. And as Pavel said, we're growing and growing. And our mission in life is to, what is our motto? This is terrible. We change lives, right, Pavel? I think that's it. I think that's it. So yeah, that's essentially what we do. We're in youth development. And also, one other shout out. If you're interested in peer mediation training for youth or even adults, we have that available. And I can put NYSID's, web address in the chat. And the trainings are just amazing. It teaches people of any age, essentially, how to communicate, how to resolve issues and problems, whether it's parent-teen mediation or it's peer-to-peer mediation, or it's, mediations that are going to court. And this is a transferable skill that anyone will want to see on a resume, because who doesn't want someone that can resolve a conflict effectively without it turning into this big mess? And we at NYSID, we're all trained mediators, and we bring those skills with us into our youth development. So if you're interested, you can ask, unmute yourself, or put the question in the chat, and I'll put my information in the chat, and also the NYSID website. So reach out if any questions. We're here to help. We improve lives. Yeah, I think that's it. But you get the gist.
Thank you so much, Theresa. Once again, feel free to leave any questions or concerns in the chat. So next is our audience question. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute and ask, or ask in the chat. I'm gonna give you guys about a minute or so to see if anyone is curious or have any questions or anything. So I'm gonna open up the floor now. I'll give y'all a minute.
Hey, I do have one thing that I think I forgot to add in talking about using the proper name and pronouns, and that is that employers, whoever, are not allowed to force you to turn over any kind of medical documentation. That name or pronoun doesn't have to be on any legal document. You don't need a gender change marker or anything on your ID. And they still have to respect that name and that pronoun. So sorry, that's something I forgot to mention before.
Kevin, oh, excuse that. That was a firework. I don't know if y'all heard that. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So we have some prepared questions for the panelists. So anyone can answer this question. But I thought it would be fitting, because we are in Pride Month, to get your guys' perspective. So what are some barriers you've come across when it comes to the hiring process within the LGBTQ plus community? Any one of the panelists can answer.
I'll go ahead and jump in here. So prior to becoming the community partner manager, I was a recruiter, and I've had very many opportunities when screening candidates and speaking about job opportunities. I've had some people who identify as LGBTQIA plus, and there is sometimes a hesitancy or a kind of, people feel as though there's not a level of confidence in their job search that we sometimes have to overcome. And that does involve a lot of what Kevin mentioned, just speaking with people about the rights that they have and working with the Human Rights Commission. And, you know, I sometimes go into like protective mama bear method, and if someone is mean to you, you come back and you tell me directly. I will go up there, I will speak to the hiring manager, and I will let them know where they messed up. And then we're going to get the employment board involved. But I think that as people become more educated about it and there aren't as many stigmas involved, I do think that there is a level of sensitivity that's there for people that may identify as any one of those identities. But it's easier said than done to say don't let someone's possible prejudice hold you back. But there are so many protections, and especially here in New York City, there's a lot of taxes suck, the transportation sucks, but being in New York is wonderful for so many other reasons. And there's a lot of protections available. So I wouldn't want someone to hesitate or think that they're going to be discriminated against or feel like they have to present one identity at work and present another one outside. Like, you can be who you are.
Thank you, Monet. Does anyone have anything else to add?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I completely agree with Monet on everything there. Absolutely, a lot of our clients maybe they may not know the the rights that they have. A lot of my clients also come from out of state, so they might have had come from a state where they were discriminated against or fired for being trans or something like that, and they don't realize that once they're here, they don't have that they have like more protections in place for them. So that is a huge barrier. Like a lot of my clients will ask me questions because they don't know if they can use their their name on their resume. They don't know if they can dress for an interview and express themselves the way that that feels right for them. Also, another thing, I guess, that is like really real for a lot of our, trans youth, and then also a lot of my coworkers are LGBTQ. A lot of my coworkers is just like kind of the fatigue that happens of constantly like reminding like all of your customers or like of like what your pronouns are, and there are just times where I hear from some of my trans like colleagues, friends, that they're just like exhausted with having to like correct every single customer, every person they interact with when they're doing outreach, and that is just something that's really really hard. So I think the best way to just have an inclusive space is just to just introducing yourself with your pronouns just shows that you are being inclusive, maybe including your pronouns in your email signature, and then thinking about being inclusive you know even before that there is a trans person in the room, because you don't really know who is trans. And it is also very alienating for trans people when they realize other people who are maybe being read as cis aren't there. You're not asking for their pronouns, but then you come to me and you ask for my pronouns. That can also feel othering. So just like normalizing that as a practice can make things a lot more welcoming.
Thank you for sharing, Kevin. So does anyone else want to touch on this question? If not, we have one more or two more questions to go, and then we'll do our closing. Oh, yes, we have a question in the chat. Someone said, hi, sorry. So I just wanted to ask you said LGBTQ plus are able to use our preferred names on our resume. Would that cause any problems?
Not at all. I mean, I think you can 100% use your name on your resume, your pronoun. Only like maybe when you're onboarding and it's about like legal documents and you have to use the name that's on that can be it. But that's like only between like you and HR. But to your supervisor, your coworkers, you are, your name, your pronouns,
Any more questions before we move on? Okay, I'm just gonna ask this one in the meantime. So this question is for all of you as well, whoever wants to answer it. What would you say is the biggest obstacle faced by youth who are looking to enter into the working world? And I'll put that in the chat as well so you can read over it.
So, this being what I do, essentially for a living, trying to get our students, prepared for work. There was a few things that I actually jotted down that just sprung to mind because I really feel fortunate that I have like the worm's eye view instead of the bird's eye view, like I'm one-on-one. So from my experience, one obstacle for our youth has been youth not taking advantage of the opportunities in their programs. They don't take advantage of the different skill opportunities or training opportunities or credentialing opportunities as much as they should. I don't know if it's because of COVID, which could be, definitely a factor. But that I've definitely seen. Another obstacle that I find is a lot of youth tend to downplay the experience that they do have. So even if they haven't been traditionally employed, when I, go to sit down with a student to do a resume, they often say to me, I don't have anything to put on a resume. And after our conversation and after I prepare the resume, they're like, oh, I do all that. And then we have a conversation about transferable skills because they don't have the confidence, they don't realize the value that they may bring to a position. And I think confidence is not being prepared and not having the confidence is definitely a problem. And the last thing that I jotted down, so we have youth that are paid interns through the LTW program. And sometimes I hear, students say, well, miss, I'm only filing or sweeping floors or mailing out correspondence. I mean, this is pre-COVID, of course. And I encourage students, to be the best filer or sweeper or mailer they can be, because you never know who's watching you. Like, don't downplay your experience. Don't downplay the opportunity that you're in, because it could lead to a really great employment opportunity if you do the best job you can in the situation that you're in, and really have that, start to cultivate that really good work ethic. You're going to be successful. You're going to be successful. People will respect you. People will give you a reference. People might even give you a job from that internship. So even the small things, don't discount them, whether they're experiences that you bring to the table or opportunities that you've been placed in that you don't really kind of think are the biggest thing. Maybe they're not, but maybe they will be. You never really know. That's my big tip, I think.
Thank you so much, Theresa. Does anyone have any other questions that they want to add in the chat? If not, we have one more question before the closing, and then y'all be free to go. Give you guys a few seconds if you do.
No question for me. I just want to echo a lot of what Theresa said, but also I think a big thing is accessibility. If you don't have an internet capable device, or if you don't have a consistent internet connection, you can't take part in things like this. You can't hear about the things that are going on. There are so many programs. I'm in a lot of student loan debt, like a lot. There are so many programs that I wish I had known existed, but I just didn't have access to that information. And I think the biggest thing is each one teach one. And even if you hear about something that doesn't work for you, if you go back and tell somebody else about it, it may benefit them. And when one person succeeds, everybody succeeds. You can't become what you never see, in a way. And it takes seeing success, and success looks like different things. There's no one form of success, but it takes seeing people and saying like, oh, that's an option, or I see you did it that way. I'm going to pivot a little bit and do it differently in this way that works for me. But I do think that, like Theresa said, you have to be comfortable in the things that you are doing. There was a story, I don't know, I don't want to take up too much time, but We all know Doritos, right? And they're delicious and they're spicy, and I eat far too many of them. Doritos was created by a janitor at the Frito-Lay plant. This was somebody that ate spicy food in his culture, in his home. He ate these spicy foods. He was a janitor at the plant, and he said, you know what? Let me go for it. Presented it to the board, and now he's a multimillionaire. He's still on the board. And every time you go and you buy something, you know, at the store, which they're way too expensive, but this is somebody who was, his reputation preceded him. He was the best janitor. He did his job. He was consistent in his work. So when he said, hey, I have an idea to the CEO was like, you know what? I'll hear you out, because his reputation preceded him. I stumbled into this job. We've heard from other people sharing their experiences about how they kind of stumbled into the fields that they're in. You never know where life is going to take you, and keeping an open mind about things, but also knowing whether you are the cart collector at Home Depot. You got to be the best cart collector in the world, because you don't know where that can take you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Monet. That was great. So our last question, if no one else has questions to add who's in the audience, is I'm putting in the chat as well. What are some things young people who struggle with gender identity need to know about microaggressions from colleagues in the workplace? Where can they go for help?
Let's see. I guess I can try to tackle that. I think for microaggressions, I mean, that can look like a lot of different things. Let's see. It could. I'm trying to think of some. I guess like some. I would say most likely like talking either to human resources, or if you have like if your organization has a DI or director of like equity and inclusion, or a director of like, you know, training and capacity building, or someone like that who can maybe, you know, do some kind of training, or someone like either your supervisor or HR person who can who can address the situation. I think that would probably be the best person to go to, but I think I have to think about that for a sec.
No, thank you, Kevin. Does anyone else have anything they might add? Maybe thinking about like younger students in the work field who are experiencing microaggressions, like minors, like where should they go for help and stuff like that. Awesome. All right. So I think we're good. So we're going to wrap up. So thank you to the panelists for coming and for sharing your experiences and your work and everything that you do. I want to thank the audience also for tuning in. Thank you so much for taking your time out to be here. The panelists are putting their links and everything in the chat. If you need to contact them or you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to them. And please consider completing a Survey Monkey that is going out after this to improve like future programming and events that we hold. And also don't forget to follow TYSA on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. And our handle is TYSA Network. I'll put that in the chat. Thank you guys so much for coming. And thank you to our panelists one more time. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.